why wouldn't I want to be with a provider? Why wouldn't I want to be with someone who wants to help take care of me? I have been in a situation in the past where I was being like pretty much fully taken care of. I still had my brand deals, but I wasn't working anything outside of like social media influencer stuff. And I don't think that people should be relying on other people fully for their income.
Oh, yeah.
But I think if someone wants to provide, like, let's say 80% and you put in 20, okay. But I wouldn't recommend letting someone completely finance your life.
Right. And you know, it's so funny. My dad, as old school as he is, like I have a lot of my standards and my my thoughts on dating because of my dad. And he would always tell me, he's like, yes, definitely get a provider type, get a guy who's going to take care of you, take care of his family, you know, that, because like my dad was definitely much so a provider type. But he also said, always have your own money, always have something going for you, always have something you can fall back on, because that's like a lot of times, like my dad grew up in Brooklyn in the 70s and 80s, and he's seen so many women who were so dependent on a man. They were stuck in really bad situations like domestic violence, things like that, because they had no choices. Like there wasn't a lot of choices back then. Thank God there's more resources now for women like that, but like there wasn't a lot of choices back then, and they just had to take whatever abuse that this man gave them, because that was the way that they were able to live and survive, because they had nothing for themselves. So I'm definitely about having something that to call your own, something for yourself. Even if a man is providing for you and taking care of you, you have something going on for yourself. You want that, because like you know, before you met him, what were you doing? You know, like,
right?
You want to have something going on. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. My family also was very much, you know, you want to have your own source of income, because my grandmother, she had my mom and aunt with her then husband, who, when my mom was 2 years old, he very, out of nowhere, he just passed away. And so if she didn't have her own job, which she had a really good job at the time, especially for women, she was a speech pathologist.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's very smart, very educated. And then she had 2 children and was a single parent.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And another thing too, like my dad would also say, like, you know, when he was like dating and like looking for like a wife or mother of his children, he's like, I was always looking for a woman who I knew that, God forbid anything happens to me, my children would be safe with her. Like she would be able to like handle the kids, you know what I mean? Like just having someone who's also able to be like self-sufficient. And like I think that's like the misconception. I feel like a lot of people were saying in the comments like, oh well, you know, you just want someone to take care of you, you just want to like put all of your burden on a man, you just want to be a child to that man. But like if you really looking at my situation, I have my own career. I've been a full-time model for 7 years. I've been able to pay for my own place, pay my bills, go on vacations, live a full life as a model without a man. So I'm just saying though, if I'm going to add a man to my life, he's going to have to take care of me and provide for me, because I want to get married, I want to have children, all of these things. And like, that's just the steps that I'm taking in order to fulfill that dream of mine, because I'm not interested in being a single mom or like a working mom for all this. Like I would always tell people like, I want to breastfeed my kids. Like I want to have 10 kids in a kiddie pool, like water birth style with like 2 black doulas in my house. Like,
well, the thing is like, you wouldn't be a straight up just stay at home wife or stay at home mom, because you would also have your like entertainment career, your modeling and social media and singing and all the other things that you do.
For sure, yeah.
But with that, you're your own boss.
Yeah.
So you just don't, it's like you don't want to have a job where you have to go sit in the cubicle 9 to 5 while also having someone else raise your children.
Right. Exactly. That's the point I was making. Like, you know, I want a certain lifestyle and a certain level of freedom to be able to be there for my kids.
Right.
And to like do my thing as
I've been a nanny.
How is that?
Honestly, it's fun, but it's not something that I could see myself doing as like long-term or career for someone else. Like if I here's my thing. You seem very set on, you know, wanting the husband, wanting the children.
Yeah.
I would like to get married. I'm still kind of on the fence about the children part, but that's where having a man who does have a large income to support you and a family comes into place. Because I am open to dating someone who doesn't want children. But if the person I'm dating wants children, it's required that they're making enough to where we don't have to struggle with those kids, because I grew up with struggling parents and it's not fun.
It's not.
It's not fun.
It's not at all. I was thinking that too, because like I grew up, I would say like lower middle class, maybe middle class, and like and I don't know, my parents are immigrants. I'm a first generation American kid. So even though we were okay, like we lived in a house growing up, we were good, they still have the mentality of like immigrants where if you don't need it, you don't need, like, you can't just have things you want. Like if you don't need it, you don't need to buy it. Like, so like when I would go, and I grew up in a very privileged area. So like when I would go on like school field trips and like everybody had at least their parents gave them like $20 for the gift shop. I never had $1 for a gift shop. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't able to do like things that were considered normal to the kids in my class, because I had like a different upbringing. Like I had different parents, like they're from third world countries. Like they like worked really hard to get to this country to make something of themselves. Like that's why I had such higher expectations for the kids. I feel like if you're a first generation American kid, like you have more on your plate to prove because your parents like did the work of like coming here.
Oh, absolutely.
And all of that,
My parents are they're not slackers. They do hustle where they can, but they are both like, I don't know. On my mom's side, I'm 8th generation American and we're lazy. And I hate it because I wanted her, growing up, I wanted to be able to have the extra like $20 to go to the mall with my friends. I didn't want to be stealing from Claire's. It's just where I was. It's just where I was. Not anymore.
Claire's.
Thankfully, I'm not stealing from Claire's anymore,
gosh.
But that was the vibe back then.
Did you ever get caught?
Yes, I did. I got caught stealing from the Urban Outfitters at the Simi Valley Mall. People from high school, if you're watching this, that happened when I was 13. I wasn't allowed to go to the mall for an entire year, and my parents had to pay a fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Literally, I would not dare try to steal from anywhere, because
don't do it. White privilege right here.
Right,
don't do it.
I'm glad you said it, because as dark skinned as I am, when I go to any store, automatically the old white lady is like following me around. Like I've never stolen anything because I'm so scared of that situation, because I've been trained since I was like 8 years old. I would go into a mall and people would follow me around just thinking that I'm stealing. I'm like, I literally am too dark skinned to steal.
It's
like
so
I would
messed
never
up.
try that.
It was me and Claire's.
Oh my God.